Jocelyne Hudson-Brown. I'm with the Inquiring News. And before we took a break, we know we're here talking with Mr. Stewart and Mr. Rogers, former presidents of the Urban League. And our whole conversation today has really been about the celebration of the Urban League, 50 years. And their motto for the celebration is looking back and moving forward. We spoke just briefly of kind of the history, the economic development, and also the current events that are happening, taking place with police brutality, the city's burning, things that you gentlemen experienced in your time. So let's move forward a little bit to the future. And Mr. Stewart, I'll start with you. What do you think that the leadership, as it moves forward, can do to re-energize the Urban League and present it as a viable option to members of the community?
I believe that, yes, sometimes it doesn't show it. The efforts of the Urban League in the last 50 years, it's obvious that we're moving ahead in aspects of employment, career opportunity, and business. There are many persons now who have graduated from college, and we're kind of kicking back 40 years. When they got out of school, they could not utilize whatever their discipline was because there weren't the jobs. But there weren't the jobs then because the doors weren't open. Ironically, the more doors are open now, but the doors that used to be there to be open are not there again. We seem to be in a retreat. And again, I repeat, as Washington, D.C., Congress particularly, is not overall doing things to enhance the community. It's leading now to people who are frustrated.
Well, let's talk about our local level, and then I'll ask you the same question, sir. On the local level, what can our leadership do here to get people more involved, the community, our regular neighbors, and people who may need information or just get things out there? How can we do, what can they do to make that better?
Our focus on the Urban League, our focus on the NAACP, our focus on the business community, the corporate community. We have to look again because we look at aspects. You read the paper about Connecticut companies moving overseas or moving to the South. It creates instability. And when they go overseas, they make a profit because of the low labor pay wages. When in this country, by people relocating, it puts people out of work, let alone their discipline changes.
Yes, no.
So we're almost like 50 years ago in some aspects.
And Mr. Rogers, I'd like to get your idea on the matter.
Well, I don't think an organization like a person is an island. We live in a community that is diversified. We have all kinds of interests. We have educational interests. We have business interests. We have government interests. And it appears that progress is tied into a lot of these diverse interests coming together. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I say this sincerely, that there are very few problems in this country that arise that really cannot be addressed with the resources available. When I talk about available resources, I'm talking about business leadership, I'm talking about education leadership, I'm talking about the participation of family units as individual units. And,
well, I'll ask you the same question as asked Mr. Stewart. How can we get local people more involved with the organization?
That's a great,
or have an interest, yeah.
That's a great question. The thing that comes to mind most recently is that I'm not much of a television watcher. I take pride, though, in an interest in observing what the local television station has done, Channel 3, in terms of their CBS. They have a CBS tie-in, And I noticed that one of the young women who participated in the Urban League activity with the Hartford Urban League activity was Gail King. And it was a pleasure for me to see her on national television with an outstanding commentator like Charlie Rose and their Good Morning America program.
Yes.
That tells me that Gail certainly made a contribution while she was here. She made a contribution to several key Urban League programs, but it was part of her development too, personal, individual development.
Yeah,
And that's important. That's important for a couple of reasons. It's important because it sets an example for youngsters. Her appearance on Good Morning America is it is as important to many young people in Hartford and perhaps throughout the country as Barack Obama's election to presidency of the United States.
yeah, and Ms. King is one of your higher profile people who were involved with the Urban League, and there's many others who are very much accomplished and from having dealt with you guys, as an organization that have made a wonderful commitment to the landscape here in Hartford as well. So, talk about that a little bit.
Well, I concur with Al.